this is really important. I want to thank all of you. You know, it really is an amazing thing that within the wood community is that we teach each other, is that the next generation of wood folk are taught by you all. You know, and I thank you for that. And I thank you for the fact that you care enough about that to try to improve your skills on demonstrating for the next generation. I mean, we spend a horrible amount of time talking about tools and cuts and finishes and sanding. And what we don't talk about is how to actually teach and show the next generation those skills. And that's what we're working on tonight. We really have a couple of goals. If you've never demonstrated before, first goal is to make you get started, to start you off correctly, start you off right. The second goal is if you have demonstrated, is try to tickle you a little bit so you get some skills that maybe you hadn't thought of. Now, I've had a lot of fun tonight because I've come in here and I've rattled a couple of heads already just by saying, you know, why is the room set up this way? As a demonstrator, I want to see all of my audience without getting a crick in my neck. And everybody goes, oh. Well, if you have demonstrated, you've developed patterns. And partially what my goal is tonight is to take some of those patterns and make you twist them a bit, make them a little bit better, maybe change them, right? Now, there's a lot of different speaking styles. But they all have a couple things in common in a good demonstration. That first thing that they have is competency of the demonstrator. You need to be competent at whatever you're demonstrating. The second thing is the ability to engage an audience and the skill sets that is involved in engaging people so they actually get what you're saying into their minds. You're a better teacher if you can engage your audience. I want to go back to competency for a minute. The psychological characteristic called overestimation of one's ability. It's normal. We all have it. You know, if I ask this room, raise your hand if you think you're an above average driver, right? I guarantee you I'm going to get 80, 90% of the people in the room. It's what we do. All right? Now, if you're going to demonstrate, you're teaching people who don't know how to do it. And if you're not competent, if you teach them your bad habits, somebody's going to get hurt. And quite frankly, it is normal for us to overestimate our own ability. Just the way human nature is. It's not a bad thing, it's just a truism. My recommendation to clubs is that before a new demonstrator is allowed to come up before a group of people, that they submit a recording of their demonstration for review by another master turner in the club. I don't care whether it's the safety officer, the program director, I don't care. But you want somebody to focus not on the quality of their jokes, but on their tool usage. Are they safe? Do they keep their fingers out of saws? Right? Because we all overestimate. Pardon? Oh, I still got it. You want me to send you a picture of it? Okay. One of the things that you have to be able to do is handle questions. She just blew my whole presentation. She took me off my track. I don't know what I'm supposed to say next. So one of the skills is, can you handle questions from the audience? To that, I have to address that. There's too much information to cover here. I can't get it done in the time that's allotted. So I'm going to have to ask that the questions be held into the group discussion after the main session is over. Thank you for reminding me of that, Regina. Okay, competency. Now, I don't care whether it's something simple like this thumper that I really love. It's very simple. But if you're going to demonstrate on it, you need to be competent at it. You need to have made 20, 30, 40, whatever. You've tried different varieties, different lengths, different woods. So that when you get up here and you demonstrate how to make this simple item, you really know it. You really know it. Now, it doesn't have to be a project. You know, I've demonstrated on safety. I've demonstrated on shape and form. I've demonstrated on finishes. I've demonstrated on holding methods. All of those are a little bit harder because you haven't got the sequence of operations to structure your speech or your demonstration. But they're all valid topics, but you need to be competent. Engagement. Some of the research has shown that any given time in an audience, you know, at least 15% are zoned out. Okay, all right. There we are. You know, if you had a lot to eat tonight, or if you had too many cookies, you're more likely to be zoned out. And when that happens, is we don't learn. We don't. It does. Our mind goes someplace else. The other problem we have is I can't talk fast enough. You know, you can read faster than you can talk, right? Okay. You can read, but we can't. We can read. Our brain can work faster than our mouth can. I grant you that as we get older, we start to talk slower, but our brain also is working slower. So what's the point of that? You got me off my track again. You're a great guy to be sitting right there. What I'm saying is you're trying to keep your audience engaged. Lots of different ways to do it. But it helps to keep the mind involved so that when you go home, you've actually learned something. Now, there's a certain other reality that happens, is that I'm going to make this thumper, and he's going to be in that demonstration, and he's going to say, oh, that's kind of cool, and he goes home, and guess what he doesn't do? He doesn't make it. I mean, you know, 4 or 5% of your audience will actually make whatever your project is. But he still paid his dues. So you really want him to go home tonight feeling like that 2 hours in the annual dues was worth the time and the money. So the engagement is at a couple different levels, and it borders on entertainment. If everybody goes home and they've fallen asleep in a demonstration, are they likely to come back? No. All right? If they go home and they say, hey, that was what do you say? I don't know, but it was a good time. That's what you're looking for. Okay? Engagement is a good thing, but it also makes it feel like it was worth the time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on basic speaking skills, but there are 2 points that are very fundamental. One is eye contact. If I'm looking at you, you can't fall asleep. Now, Joe down here can. Okay? When I'm looking at you, guess what? You're paying attention. Your mind is receiving the information. See, he's asleep. See, hey, thank you for that. I paid him to do that. You know, it was 3 cookies, but it was worth the price. Eye contact is hugely important. This particular location is difficult because you notice my head. All right, ice pack tonight. You got that? Okay. Make eye contact. The second thing that's important is your eyes also follow motion. So when I moved, what happened? Your eyes moved with me. If your eyes are moving, are you engaged? Are you paying attention? Are you learning? Yeah, you are. Eye contact, motion. Motion is funny. Motion can be chips coming off the lathe. If you get a stream of wood coming off of a bowl, right? That's motion. It's, you know, let's chip. I want to see chips fly. Well, there's a reason for it. They're engaged because of the movement. There is a trap out there. Trap goes like this. I've been giving speeches for 30 years. I know how to give a speech. Right? Guys, I've been giving speeches for 65 years. And it keeps changing on me. When I first got involved with the world of speaking, it was 35 millimeter slides and these big carousels, and you drop them and you go all out of order. Then it became overhead transparencies. And then it went into PowerPoint. I don't know where we are. The world's changed. My first wood turning meeting that I attended, when you wanted to see what the tool was doing to the wood, you came up and stood behind the turner. All right, and today, 1, 2, 3 cameras, 2 huge screens. You can see better today than you've ever been able to see in all your speeches, but it's changed. Don't get caught thinking you know how to give a speech, because a demonstration today is not a speech. It's more on the order of a play or of a movie. It's about the cameras. All right. ABCs. How do you start planning a demonstration? Well, the first thing that you do is you figure out what equipment you're going to have at the site. So you need to know what the lathe is. You need to know what the all the little. Are you going to have chucks? Are you going to have wood bits there for you and all that kind of stuff? All right. So to make that better for you, what I've done on my website, DennisBelcher.com, handouts, demonstration skills. There's a form. There's an engagement summary. That down at the bottom it says, this is the stuff that's on site. So as I begin to plan my demonstration, I know I have all of those pieces. So the next thing that happens is really pretty simple. It's going to start with, this is what I'm going to make. This is what it's going to start as, right? Make sure you got those tools available to you on site. Then you sit down, you take paper and pencil, and you write out every step in the sequence of making that project, whatever that project is. When you have that done, you go take that script and you go make one. And you know what? You forgot a bunch of stuff. That's the way it always works. So you go correct your script. Then you take another pass, and this is where it starts to get important. Because once you've got your script done, you're going to come back and you're going to say, where are my points of danger? Where am I likely to get bit? When's something going to fly out of the chuck? When's something going to, make a bad cut? And you circle those spots. And then you go back and say, okay, where is it boring in this? If I'm drilling out a hollow form, that's boring. So you got to think about, how do I speed that particular action up? Because one of the things that makes people more engaged is movement and speed. If it slows down, you lose people. Find your slow spots. Take the next pass. Where's my camera? Now, this is really kind of amazing. If you got a bowl up on the lathe, and you're going to do some embellishment right over here, right? Can you see what I'm doing? Give me an overhead. Do I need to bring it up? All right, so now you're going through and you're thinking each of these operations, where's my camera? We don't have to do that in a speech, but this isn't a speech, this is a demonstration. Where is my camera? When you get that done, the next question you have to ask yourself at each step in your sequence is blocking. Blocking comes out of the theater world. The simplest form is, where are my feet? Now we're going to come back to that because it's really important. But you want to just not assume that you're tied to the lathe, right? You want to actually go back and plan where you're going to be at each stage of the demonstration. Now when you get done, you'll end up with a script that looks something like this. See the colored blocks? That's each of the passes. Now, I didn't realize I was actually doing that, and I never really realized it until I started to put together this demonstration skills. And it's an amazing thing about putting on a demonstration when you start to put on a demonstration for other people. But you know what happens? You get better. It's amazing how that works. You get better, right? I was doing this and never recognized it. Now I recognize it and I can teach it. Thank you for making me better. Speed up points. Danger. Let's go back to danger. The classic is, okay, you're making a finial. It's an 8-inch finial. It's out of ebony. You're down to that last eighth of an inch, and it breaks. What do you do? Well, that's my wife telling me she got home okay. So thank you, dear. What you do is, with one hand, you're taking it out of the chuck, and with the other hand, you reach in your turning coat, and you pull out one that's completed. I was able to do that because I could identify it beforehand as I planned the script. Speed up points, hollowing. Good Lord, is that boring. I mean, this guy gets up here and says, I'm going to make this hollow form. It's going to be a wall 1/4 inch thickness all the way down. You can't see anything. I mean, it's boring, right? Figure out a way to remove the boring spot. We'll come back to that. Glue ups. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Where's your camera? Where's my camera right now? Well, it should be right there. But it could be right there. And just because I like to have fail-safe, I got one right there. It's a wide angle. It's always on. So if I miss it there and I miss it there, he's got me there. You got that? Thinking about where the camera is very important. Points of engagement. Ask for questions. Any questions? I'll do them later. Okay. But let me ask you a question. Does this start to make sense to you? What I'm doing is I'm engaging the audience in general. I'm pulling them back in, and we're moving it along. Tell a joke. Why did the bank robber always take a shower before he went to the bank? He wanted to make a clean getaway. Don't go overboard. But jokes work. A little humor livens everybody up, brings everybody together, makes everybody feel friendlier. That brings your audience in. Personal stories. Well, I tell you what, they better be short. They didn't come here to hear about your stories. I want to ask a question. I got about 2 hours more to get through. I can't get it all done. But should I do that, or should I tell you about my background and why I'm qualified to be up here and teach you demonstration skills? Do you want to hear about me, or you want to hear about more skills? Show of hands. Let's go. Who wants to hear about me? Who wants to hear more skills? Yeah! That's what you're supposed to say. Now it says here, throw a $10 bill into the audience. I'm sorry, I looked at my wallet. I don't have a $10 bill. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay. Okay. Here you go. There you are. Hey, wait. That's my room key. Pass it back up here. Okay. Okay. Nitty gritty. Go back here. I'm really serious about this. Go back and think about each disaster spot and try to prepare for it. Have a backup. Know what you're going to do. If it's any more than a 15% odd that you can have a blow up at a particular pot, plan for it. That's all. It's going to happen. It's okay. It's a demonstration. It's okay for things to go wrong. If you're going to hollow, you got 2 ways to make it unboring. One way is you start the form. You do the outside. You start to hollow out the inside. You go over to and you diagram it on a whiteboard, right? So you don't have to do it. They'll get it from there. The second way is you take a completed hollow form. You cut it in half, right? And so when you get done with the hollowing, I'm sorry. So you start the hollowing, stop, take the completed hollowing, show them the two halves, right? That's actually better than. Actually, it takes both, but that's the here. Okay, question for you. If I'm up here to lathe, and I'm telling you how to showing you how to make this thumper, should I turn and talk to you at the same time, or should I turn and not talk? Which should I do? Turn and talk? Turn and not talk? Well, how are we going to make that decision? Well, the first way, I'm going to come back to that because that's a good point. First way is safety. If you're an intermediate turner, beginner turner, I mean, unless you've made a whole bunch of these, you need to pay attention to what you're doing. And so you're going to make that decision on the basis of what's safe for me as a turner. I don't want to have any blow-ups. So if I need to concentrate, I'm not going to talk. I'm going to look down here, and I'm going to do this turning, and then I'm going to stop, raise my safety shield, tell you what I did. Put the safety shield down, and go back. If you're going to turn and talk, Ray, what are you going to say? Well, is it going to be pertinent to what you're turning? That's the question. It should be, right? Okay? Now, it's very clear to me that if you want to speed up the turning, you need to be quiet and just get it done. The problem with what you guys said about turning and talking at the same time is we got one other element we have to resolve. If I am turning and I'm talking and I'm looking at this, how does it feel out there as I tell you how I made this thumper? What's wrong? We got another level here. If I turn and talk and look at my turning versus turn and talk and look at my audience, yeah. So in a lot of ways, you know, my current conclusion is that it's really better demonstration technique to be safe and talk, turn, stop, put the safety shield up, tell them what I did, go back and turn some more. Yes, sir. Later. Hold that, please. What's your name, sir? Regina, write Mike on the board up there. I want to hear his question afterwards. How we doing? We doing okay? What did I do? Misspell something? Oh, Mike. Hey, thank you, sir. All right. Now, what does the audience see? You have a problem as a demonstrator is I can't see that. And I can't see that. Your club and these gentlemen over here are very advanced. They really are. I have a monitor right here where I can see myself pointing at myself. All right. So now I can see what you can see. It's very important, and I'm glad that your club has it. You're blessed that that detail's already been taken care of. Voids. You're always going to have voids in your demonstration, which means is, now hold on a minute while I get my chuck out, right? Hold on a minute while I put this. So it's kind of you got to do some stuff, right? But the audience care about that. They want you to get back to the action. So the way you handle that is you have a couple of fillers already set and ready to go. Jokes are a great place for a joke, but be careful. Most jokes make fun of you, or they make fun of me. And both of them are wrong. Best place for jokes is dad jokes. There's 400 of them in here, right? And you can open any page. My wife keeps telling me to stop pretending to be butter, but I'm on a roll now. I didn't like that one. I didn't like that. One toilet sit to the other toilet, you look flushed. Dad jokes. They're typically jokes about the language, but they fill the void. So you have a half a dozen of them in your head beforehand, and when you get to a void, you throw it out there and keep moving. Okay? Fill the void. Fill the void. Technology has changed. It's made this whole world better. Now, I've written an article that's on my website that talks about technology and demonstrations today. It's at DennisBelcher.com. Demonstration handouts. Down at the bottom, demonstration skills. That's there. You should download that. What that talks about is you do the demonstration at home. You record it. And then you sit down and you play it back and you write down all the mistakes you made. Okay? The things you could have done better, the things you forgot. I mean, you go through it and you correct yourself. Now, in the old days, you got this going back 60 years ago. My partner and I, when we were given a speech at a convention, 10 days before, we go in the conference room at 8 o'clock. And we give the whole blasted thing. Right? We did that every day for 10. What a bloody bore. But that's what you have to do. Today you can record it, find your mistakes, record it a second time, and all of a sudden magical things start to happen. Now I know because I did that this is going to run long. So I could go back and tighten it up here, drop that here, type. So I could begin to adjust to get the time right. It helps tremendously with the timing. The second big plus, and maybe the most important one, is packing. When I came up here 8 years ago, I got in here and I'm working on this multi-axis disc vase. And I really love my angled scraper. And guess what? I'd forgotten it. So I'm not going to let that happen again. So I brought every tool in the shop, right? Both of them were wrong. Now, today, when I'm ready to pack, what I did is I watched the recording of this demonstration, and every time I saw myself pick up something, I put it in my kit. And if I forgot something, I'm not going to tell you about it. But no, I'm really serious. This really resolves that whole problem of forgetting the correct tool. Is look at your recording and pack as you see yourself reach for that tool. The other thing that you can do is that you can up the speed. Is that when I'm watching myself, I'm going to go at 125% to 150% speed. Now, it's really an amazing thing. In the old days, my partner and I, every day for 10 days, we're out there real time. Well, I've found that I can sit down and put the speed up 25% and just watch myself give that demonstration. It's just as effective as getting it into my memory as me going through every one of those stupid words. I get so sick. But if I watch it, I can get the speed up. So I can do the repeat. I can do it every day and not use the whole day to get the practice done. So, timing, packing, and practice. Record your demonstration. Well, I don't have a camera. Well, you do too. Everybody's got a cell phone. USB camera, laptop. It's not a big deal. All right. I want to pick on the guy that's farthest away from me. Who's back there? Right. What's his name? Jerry. What is the most difficult thing in a demonstration? I'm taking a cookie away from him. The most difficult thing is ending on time. It's really hard. It really is hard. Now, recording actually helps a lot, but it's still hard. What I found that was really helpful to me is right here. And that sits right there where I can see it. I've been talking for about 35 minutes. I'm on page 11. I think I'm okay. All right. Now, But as you're working on your demonstration on your script, you have to plan on the fact it's difficult to end on time, and you got a couple techniques that you can use. The first technique is if you run short. Is, here's my thumper, here's how I make it. Oh, here's a variation of it. This is how I refurbish it. This is it in multi-axis. I don't know. So you can go through the variations of the basic piece. If you don't have the time, you don't do it. Okay? You're going to see you're going to see that technique tomorrow night towards the end of the demonstration. Oh, by the way, we failed to do something. Anybody who's coming tomorrow night, if you got a couple cracked blanks at home, bring them tomorrow night. If we got time, we'll talk about them. Either. No, it's okay. We'll get surprises. Okay. I don't know how the time's going to run tomorrow, but anyway, okay. Either way, I don't care. Don't care. Something where all of a sudden you got to really stretch your head to figure out how to get it cooler in here. Did you hear me? Cooler in here? Okay. Okay, so what you're trying to do is as you plan your demonstration is you're trying to have topics that you can leave in or take out or expand to make sure that you end up on time. That's part of the techniques that are important. Computers, love-hate affair. Love-hate affair. I'm going to come back around to that. But one of the problems you run into with computers when you're doing slides and images is many times they depend upon a program to display them. So in other words, if you create a PowerPoint and you get to the meeting and you have your PowerPoint presentation on your USB stick, but you don't have the PowerPoint program, you wasted it. But the simplest way to take care of that is use File Manager. There's no program. You can see all the slides, you can see all the images in a folder, and you just flip through. Now you'll see that tomorrow. Blocking. When you're the demonstrator, you are in control of the stage. You have to have that stage set up to suit what you need to have happen. And part of that revolves around thinking through what you need. Now I'm going to ask this group a question. Invariably, you're going to have a table for your stuff, right? Your tools, your blanks, whatever it is. Now, this is that table. Right here. I put it through the ceiling the last time. The question is, where's this table going to be? Should this table be here? Should this table be here at the headstock? Should this table be here behind me? There, or here. And you said wherever's quickest access, because what you want to do is grab and go. Am I on? Grab and go. I'm at the Virginia Symposium. Demonstrator gets up there and goes, yeah, let me get that down here. And I'm going. That's the problem with the lapel, is that, turn it off, sir, thank you. Okay, quick, wherever it is. Now, next question is my tools. How many tools should I bring? But I might forget something. Oh, God, I love this group. More cookies, more cookies. You know, it really is amazing. I don't know Jimmy Clues. You know, when he demonstrates, this is his tool row. Yeah, he can do 40 different demonstrations. The better turner you are, the fewer tools you use. You know, and if you start bringing a whole bunch of tools, guess what? You can't find what you need. Now, there's another thing that always happens when you bring with tools when you're demonstrating, is where did I put that scraper? Where's that scraper? When you can't find it, ask your audience. They actually know where you put it. You've forgotten, right? But they've seen you put it down and they know where it is. Don't be afraid if you can't find a tool to ask your audience. They will tell you where it is. Amazing how that works. One of the other things that is really helpful in demonstration is a turning coat, or a carpenter's apron, or a carpenter's belt. The reason for it is a couple of things. First thing is, now when I drop this down there, I got a layer of cloth, right? That means that it won't get stuck on my back. Okay? But now, where's my paper towel? Right here. Where's my pencil? Right here. Okay, you know where things are, right? Where's my notes? Right here. What do lawyers wear to court? A lawsuit. But you know, this is simple. But you know, your apparel actually does help in your demonstration. Okay, blocking. Next question for you. Don't get handcuffed to the lathe or your table. I want to ask a question. If I come over here and I start talking to the audience from down here, has the feeling changed? What happens if I sit down here and talk to the audience? Has the feeling changed? Now, if you're a carver or you're doing some fine embellishments, right, and you need to sit down, you got a real problem. People can't see you. Oh, wait, I got to do one other thing. Got that? So what do you do about it? Well, one of the things you can do is try to do the stuff up higher. Second thing is you need to have a raised platform so that you're up 6, 8, 10 inches. So that you're up here now where everybody can still see your head and your eyes. What happens if I take this stool and I sit here? Has it changed again? Where's the good or bad of it? But when I walk down here to this end of the room, cameras can't follow me. What have I done? All of a sudden, I've engaged everybody down here because I'm in their face. I'm looking at them, right? So blocking, where are your feet? It doesn't have to be at one single spot. Generally, the thought is as long as you're up, you know, you're in command of your audience. When you go down, you lose them. Okay. Now we're going to talk about microphones, which are giving me fits tonight. And there are several different types of microphone. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I have a problem. You want me to switch? Here's my problem. My shoe came untied. It's a real problem. This will be edited out. This. You remember those voids I talked about? Okay. Yeah, that too. I got another pair of shoes in the car though. Where were you going? Oh, yeah. Hand me the microphone. Okay. This is what they call a lapel mic. There's different brands, different forms, but they all do the same thing. Basically, they clip up here, and they work fine. The problem is that when you start doing this, all of a sudden we were having that issue before because of I fumbled some stuff, right? So that's a disadvantage to the lapel mic. The second form of it is that this lapel mic transmits to a similar little box that's on the ATEM. So it's a Bluetooth connection that goes from here to there, so you're not tied up with any cords. Actually, sound is a very fascinating topic. It's not just volume, it's also clarity. Now, how many people in here have hearing issues? No, it's not just volume. Sometimes it's where does the sound come from? Does it come from the front of you or behind you? Sometimes it's how good is the fidelity? Is there echoes in it? Is a lot of different words for sound, but the reality is the demonstrator is you will lose your audience if they can't hear you well, and your audience has hearing issues. They do. So you really care about this stuff. So the way to get the best quality audio that I've come across is the over-the-ear mic. It can be over the head or over the ear, but what's happening is the sound is being picked up right here. I remove the problem of the rustle against the fabric. It's a better quality audio. Now, you can't necessarily see it. Well, that's not true. Unless you're really experienced as a sound engineer, you can't see that on the panels. But if you really talk to your audience, they know it when it's a good quality sound. And you care about it if you care about giving a good demonstration. Safety shields. Safety shields are a real problem because when you put that safety shield down, unless you have unless your pickup is right here by your mouth, you're going to get echoes. Now, this little piece of foam on the end is classically there for wind, to get the wind out of the sound stream, but it also is very effective for those hard consonant sounds. I like it because it also diminishes the sound of my breathing. At times I can get kind of, it kind of smooths that out of the sound stream. So you care about that. If you're going to demonstrate, you ask for a microphone. Yeah, I know you haven't ever used one before. Yeah, I know that. We all start there. We all start there. Your cameraman. Who's the most important person in the room right now? Right there. Those guys. That guy. You know why? A good cameraman can make a mediocre demonstration look really good. A bad cameraman can take a good demonstration and make it look bad. So, these guys are doing a really good job, so I want all of us to give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys. Walk through your blocking. Walk through where you're going to meet. Now, did we do that? We went through, here's where I'm going to be when. So it gives him a chance to get set up. It can be difficult as a demonstrator to say to the cameraman, I'm going to walk to that end of the room. I failed to do that, didn't I? Did you guys, were you guys? Oh, there you go. But you try to give your cameraman hints about what you're going to do. You walk through the blocking with them before you start. Now I'm going to read you a definition for you techies out there. Contrast detection autofocus is achieved by measuring contrast vision within a sensor field through the lens. The intensity difference between adjacent pixels of the sensor naturally increases with correct image focus. The optical system can thereby be adjusted until the maximal contrast is detected. You want a translation? Camera has a problem with shiny stuff, and it does. So if I'm on a lathe and I got a shiny chuck and I got shiny ways and I got a shiny tool that's wide, the camera has trouble figuring out what to focus on. So what do you do about it? Well, first thing you do about it is you go to your chuck and you put blue tape around it. So now it's not shiny, it's blue. All right? If need be, if your ways are really shiny, you have a piece of black foam that you put across there periodically when the camera's doing shooting down, right, picking up the tool. Makes a lot of difference. Your wood that you use is important. So if I'm going to make this stumper and I want the camera not to have problems with autofocus, I'm going to make it out of cherry or walnut. Not holly and not a light colored maple, truthfully. Try to stay away from white stuff because there's another term called whiteout that you can get into cameras with. It's too much white. It just can't handle it. It goes back to that fancy statement. So anyway, that's not going to work. The other thing I want to talk about is this problem. I want to show you the tip of this tool. Right? Now, would you zoom in on that? I don't care. Just zoom in on it. Okay, you see the multiple errors here? First of all, I haven't told him where. Second is I'm moving it, right? Now, I'm going to hold it right here. But, I'm nervous, so I got the shakes. You got vertigo yet? All right, so let's stop this. Well, on a lathe, the best way to do this is you take the piece that's in the chuck that's stable, you take the tool and you put it on your piece of wood. And you say, okay, now bring that into focus. You got that? And now I can bring you up, show you how it's sharpened, and it doesn't move. Now, you got good cameras here, by the way. Many times what happens when a cameraman tries to zoom in, it takes him 3, 4, 5 seconds. And if you say, okay, you see that? The camera hasn't zoomed in. So you need to have some sense of how long it takes your cameras to zoom in to show a close-up like that. Okay, we're going to talk about visuals. There's a real problem. These are wonderful things, the flip charts, the whiteboards. But there are problems with them that you have to address as a speaker. So if I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw something, right? What'd I just do? Now, if you got a good cameraman like you do, he's already taken that camera and he's coming in at this angle so you can see a little bit of it, right? But it really is a struggle because now all you guys out here, you can't see diddly, right? Let me keep going. The flip charts, well, you guys got a good AV set. Somebody over here is a genius level. Okay, but flip charts have got one primary advantage, is that you can do it ahead of time. And if you got another page, you can help people. People can see it as you talk about it. It helps in the engagement issue. The best way I've found with drawings and whiteboards is right here. Now I need you up here. So if you go to an overhead camera, now I can draw, right? And I can still see y'all. You can see, and you can see that, right? So what did I do? Is I got rid of the vertical orientation and went to a horizontal orientation, across the ways on a workbench with an overhead camera. Massively better than trying not to get your back in the camera's way. Oh, the other thing. How many people in here are engineers? Okay, you guys are cursed. The problem is that when you're speaking, when you're demonstrating, you're trying to keep things moving along. You're trying to keep the pace up, and engineers are trained to make very precise lines and angles. Now, me, I don't do that. I go, okay, look, it goes like this and this. So crude drawings, because they're quicker, are more appropriate in a demonstration than refined. If you want a refined drawing, do it beforehand, put it up on the board, and let the camera show it to everybody. But you lose the motion of actually drawing it. Okay? Pointers. I got a really high-tech one here. This is a really high-tech pointer. I mean, it's got its own USB plug-in thing, and let's see. First of all, I got to turn it on. Oh, I wonder if the battery's still good. Let's see if the battery's still good. Yeah. Okay. You see it over there? Pretty good, huh? You getting vertigo yet? Now, watch what happens. What happened to it? It disappeared, didn't it? Can you see it well? What happens? How's it now? You getting vertigo? Okay, watch. I want you to pay close attention right here. A couple things happen. First is, I'm touching the screen. It's a piece of wood. Am I hurting the screen? No. Is it moving? No. Is it easy for your eye to find where I want you to look? Yeah. But I have a question. Is that better, or should we go high-tech and paint the tip? I'll leave that to your decision. Okay? It really is amazing. You know, this high-tech stuff, you get right down to it in a demonstration. These actually work a lot better. Computers. Oh, man. So Regina, I asked Regina. I says, Regina, I want to know about the connections I'm going to have to deal with up there at the Tidewater. She said, well, you know, we got everything. There's HDMI. And I said, is it HDMI A? Is it HDMI Mini? Is it Absolutely, that's what she said. Okay, so what you do is you say, send me a picture. Okay, I'm really serious here. You know, because this stuff gets so confusing with the connections that you're really better off to actually get a copy of the back of whatever you're going to plug into, so you got a better shot at it. You know, that's the first. You know, most of the stuff that I'm talking to you about now is mistake based. These are all mistakes that I've made. Okay, now you're going to make the same mistakes. The only thing is you're going to say, oh yeah, now I remember what I was supposed to do, where I was still trying to figure it out. Take a picture of the back. Now, the next thing that happens is if I have some images, some pieces that I want to show everybody, how am I going to get them up there on that monitor? Well, truthfully, the best way is bring them in. Truthfully. You know, that's the fail-safe way. It just works. Failing that, you have a whole range of things you can do. I used to be able to take this tablet, and I would go up and I would take one of my HDMI connectors, and this would go from a C, USB-C, right, into an HDMI. But this tablet got a bit old. The battery was kind of shot. The screen was coming unglued, so I had to go buy a new tablet. So I bought a new tablet. Guess what? Now, all of a sudden, standards changed. The USB has no HDMI out. Doesn't work. What's my plan B? Plan B is my cell phone. Now, when I take a cell phone, thank you. Yes, sir. Well, I tell you what should get everybody's attention is the next topic. It's safety. And you know, when you're demonstrating, I don't care whether you're showing somebody how to use a bandsaw, which somebody had showed me, or a table saw, or a tool. You know, as a demonstrator, you have a real responsibility to teach them the safe way to use whatever tool that it is. Okay, it really is important. The club has a responsibility. You know, I've seen some clubs where they have a safety officer. Well, he will stop a demonstration if he sees an unsafe practice up there of any type. You know, my recommendation is that the practice session that has been recorded be previewed by a master wood person before that demonstrator is allowed to get in front of a club, because you know it really is important. And I get really kind of frustrated sometimes because people will get up there and they'll demonstrate and they'll tell you the rule, right? Like always, you know, turn off the lathe before you move the banjo, right? And they kind of laugh about it, but they don't really explain it. And yeah, I know if you take the tool rest and it goes into the wood, the piece is going to explode and go flying across the room. I get that. But what really is happening that they don't tell people is that tool rest handle is on an arc. And as you bring it down to tighten the banjo, you get to a certain point and you're pushing the banjo into your piece. Have you ever heard anybody tell you that before? So when you talk about safety, when you demonstrate the safe use of a table saw, right? If you can tell them the why of it, you know, why did that 2x4 end up stuck in my wall off of my table saw, right? What did I do wrong? Well, you got to give them some reason so that it sticks in their head better. If you're going to talk about a tool, regardless of what the tool is, you need to explain it. I don't care whether it's a plane. If you're going to use a plane, a hand plane, you need to talk about how it's sharpened, you know, what the angle is on the edge, right? The differences in the types of planes. I mean, you really need to explain the tool. If it's a wood turning tool, you need to say this is a spindle roughing gouge, this is how you use it, and I sharpened it 40 degrees because I wrote it right there. See, so I could. But you need to explain the tool. Handouts. Handouts take any demonstration to the next level. Now, in the old days, what you'd do is you'd have a sketch or you'd have your sequence printed up and you take it down to Kinko's and you get some copies run off, right? So you go down there and you say, I need 25 copies of this for my club. And you get to the club and there's 37 people there, right? You're short. So I'm not going to let this happen again. So next time you go down to Kinko's, you say, I'm doing another demonstration. I need 75 copies. And you got 12 people there, right? So all that's kind of, you know, that's, again, technology has changed. It's now PDFs. The current practice is you take the handouts, you do have the handouts, you supply them in PDF form to the program director or the website manager, right? Now what I do is I also have them on my website because I want to make sure that you all get them. But if you're going to be a demonstrator, you need to have handouts prepared for you. Now, time limitations have really kind of mucked me up here because I had too much. So I have on my website, right here, under demonstration handouts, demonstration skills, There's a PDF and a video on your first demonstration, and I don't care whether you're a wood flat guy or you're a round guy, right? It's still appropriate. You're still going to have those techniques that are there are specifically for first demonstration people. You're going to have a checklist. What do you do the day of the demonstration to make sure before you get up here and open your mouth you got everything taken care of that you need to have taken care of? There is a engagement summary. It starts out with, what's the club name, what's the date? Oh, that's an interesting thing. Okay, when's it start? When is it supposed to be over with? Those details, along with what tools are there that I could use in the demonstration. You're also going to find on my website using today's technology, which is an article that goes through things that we've talked about tonight, is how to use today's technology to prepare for your demonstration and in your demonstration. Also on that website as a handout will be a copy of tonight's demonstration to y'all. So you'll find that all at DennisBelcher.com. Give me about a week to get it up there though for the video. Now we're going to talk about the ghost in the room. Handling the voice in the audience. Questions. Now, it's real simple from the audience's standpoint that they don't ever hear the question from the audience, because the guy that asked it down there, he's in front of the guy that's back over there, and his hearing is bad. So, you know, the first rule is always repeat the question. I'm lousy at it. I am. So how do you compensate for it? You go take Mike and say, Mike, make sure that if I get a question, you make sure I repeat it so everybody can hear it before I answer it. I told you that, Mike, right? Thank you. Okay, there's two types of questions you get. One type of question is they're paying attention to you, right? But they're running a little bit ahead of you. And you're going to get there in another 3 minutes, but they're already there. So that's the first kind of question. That's a good kind of question. And then the second type of question is, yeah, but let me tell you how I do it. Okay, those questions can go on for 10 minutes. I mean, you got to be prepared to say, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Now let me get back to, you got to take control and keep it moving. The best advice I can give you for questions is write out your responses beforehand. Things like, thank you for sharing that point. You acknowledge it, don't answer it, move on. Excellent point. But I need to keep moving. Okay? Glad you asked that. Let me come back to that. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. And you repeat kind of what he said, and then keep going. Don't go back. Now, because you really want to keep it moving. You really want to keep it moving. But 90% of the time, the questions are going to be answered 3 minutes later. Right? And if you're tight on time, it is okay to say, I'm tight on time. Please hold the questions to the end. I won't leave till all the questions are answered, and I'll hang around, or email me, or text me. Right? My contact information is up there. Right? Never argue. Never argue with somebody from the audience. You don't have to agree with them, but don't argue with them. You gotta have to find your own balance point. But the best thing is be prepared for questions. They're going to happen. The smaller the audience, the more questions you're going to get. All right. One other thing that's new that I don't have a lot of experience with, but your club is doing tomorrow night, is when you have a live demonstration, a live club meeting, you have members away who are zooming in and are part of that meeting. You know, you want to try to figure out a way to bring them in, to engage them even though they're home. I've not had experience to this point, but it's something that I'm very aware that you need to be sensitive to. Now, I'm circling the airport. The wheels are going down, and we're going to wrap it up. First point I would make to all of you, demonstrating makes you a better person as a woodturner or as a flatwork person. If you get up in front of an audience and you go through the stuff that I've talked about here tonight, And you will find out that when you get all said and done, you're better at whatever you talked about than you were you started with. I mean, it's amazing how that works. There is a payback for you. And remember, it's really not about me. It's about your audience. You know, the more they're engaged, the more they come away with, you know, the better job you've done as a demonstrator. Now, the other thing that you need to recognize is, you know, I've been talking up here a long time. I've said a lot of things, right? There's no way you're going to remember all that stuff. It's not going to happen. That's a reality. So, tonight as you drive home, I want you to concentrate on two things that was new information or things that you were doing that all of a sudden maybe you shouldn't do, right? Two things. Think about those on the way home. And then, when you get up tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. like I always do, download the handouts. Go through the handouts. Make an appointment Saturday to go back and rewatch the video. And then you'll really be able to take notes and get this in. All right? But I think more than anything else is that we have to remember that, you know, we are responsible for the next generation. You know, what we teach the next generation is what they learn. You know, that's a heavy responsibility that we all bear. I want you to teach them well, teach them safely. Because, guys, at the end of the day, wood's a part of our lives. It's a wonderful, marvelous thing. Thank you very much.